Hi guys, welcome to another edition of What's Your Verdict? This is where we go back in time and pick out a very controversial fight from the past, have a quick review of each round, score it, and then get obviously an ultimate score at the end of the fight. Now, in this edition, you can see there, we've got one from 1999. It is Oscar De La Hoya, the Golden Boy, up against Felix Trinidad. So it took place, as I said, September 18th, 1999 at the Mandalay Bay casino or hotel and casino in Las Vegas. It was promoted by Bob Arum's. Top rank was for the WBC and IBF welterweight titles. Oscar De La Hoya was 31-0 going into the fight. Trinidad was 35-0. Both fighters weighed 147. So what we do here, guys, we're going to score the fight, as I said, round by round. I'm going to give you my score at the end of the fight. I'm also going to give the official scorecards, and then a little bit of extra ammunition, if you will, is the scores from BoxRec. Now this is where the fans get on there, and the fans can actually score the fight. So this is a general fan consensus, and we're going to go through it. And then also at the end, what we'll do is just go through the round by round, the ones that sort of stood out as far as being just a little bit sus or a little bit controversial, which is obviously what the whole episode is about, and just some different rounds that we might have had different that really played a part in the actual fight. So as I said, De La Hoya 31-0, Felix Tito Trinidad 35-0. So we'll get rolling into the first round and see how we have it. Now, with this fight, if you are scoring this fight, make sure you check it out. If you do score it yourself, just turn the sound down. It's what I always do. I don't get influenced by the commentators or the crowd at all. I try and watch it in silence just to get a definitive idea of or a vibe of what's happening with the fight itself. So there's the Golden Boy, Oscar De La Hoya. Tito Trinidad's been introduced there. Let's get into round one, shall we? And get things underway. Now, one thing I will say right from the outset is this was probably the hardest fight I've actually done in this whole series. So many close rounds, not a lot of big punches landed, no one really hurt at any time, no big combinations landed or anything. It was just a really skillful fight between two great fighters. So I've got very much a feeling out round there. Both very cautious and, more importantly, very respectful of their opponent, which you would probably expect with two guys of this caliber. Trinidad, you can see they're taking centre ring. De La Hoya content just to be on the perimeter. Both are sort of poking out the jabs, looking to look for openings and get their range. No clear punches, again, as I said, landed by either fighter, but both showing an enormous regard and respect for their opponent, and for good reason. You can see there, again, De La Hoya throws a couple in. No, none of those punches really land. Trinidad just chugging forward as he always did in all his fights. And so it was a really, really hard round to score. Now, on the night, actually, one of the judges, which was, I've got it there, Bob Logist. So I'll just go to there. My scorecard, by the way, was 10-9 for Oscar De La Hoya. Two out of the three judges had it 10-9 for. Actually, I won't read out who they actually scored for each round. I'll just read out some of the anomalies. But one thing is that Judge Bob Lodges scored that round even. I don't really do even rounds. I like to give it to one or the other, which can be a little bit controversial sometimes, and tricky, because there are sometimes definitive even rounds. But I always like to find something that gives it to one of the fighters. In this instance, I just thought Oscar's pressure was a little, not his pressure, his ring generalship was a little bit better than Trinidad, who chugged forward, didn't really land or even throw many meaningful punches, although Oscar picked his shots pretty well, landed a couple of jabs, nothing to get too excited about, but I thought it was just enough to give him the round. So that was 10-9 to Oscar. Into round number two. Much the same as the first round. Trinidad, you can see there, taking centre ring, trying to pressure De La Hoya, who's content to be on the back foot, and backs up. You saw that last round, by the way. Harold Letterman did score it for De La Hoya as well. Trinidad trying to push the action, but De La Hoya content to look for openings while on the back foot, which is one thing I did find surprising about. This is probably the most patient that I've ever seen Oscar De La Hoya. He can get drawn into exchanges with his opponents. I just thought this time he had a really good game plan. He let Trinidad come to him. So there, pokes out the jab, really looking to pick his shots and land them when the openings arise. Again, no meaningful punches landed, but I thought that Oscar's counters at the key moments and that pinpoint jab to keep Trinidad sort of guessing, I thought did enough to give him a round, even though it was an extremely close round, as was the first one. I just thought, again, Oscar's pinpoint jab, he's looking for those openings where Felix is just coming forward, just not really looking for those openings, just throwing punches for the sake of throwing punches. I just thought Oscar's ring generalship, I'll say that again, was just enough to get him another very close round. But having said that, I think the round could have went either way, but I have given Oscar the round 10-9, which makes it 20-18 or 2-0. Let's get into round number 3. Pretty much a carbon copy of the first 2 rounds. Oscar boxing superbly, I thought, off the back foot, waiting patiently for openings and countering Trinidad when the opportunity arose. You can see that Harold Letterman agreed with me, gave the first 2 rounds to Oscar De La Hoya. I thought Trinidad looks just allowing Oscar to use the ring without really cutting Oscar off. I thought he did that for the majority of the fight. Let Oscar really move whichever way he wanted to without cutting the ring off. And I just thought he hasn't really landed anything of note. You can see there he's poking out the punches, but hasn't really landed anything, where Oscar's really pinpointing the jabs, picking his shots, countering where he can. And I just don't think Felix is effective at all. And those little combinations and little flurries that Oscar throws in there, I think is enough to win these early rounds. I thought Oscar landed the effective counter jabs on numerous occasions, and I just thought he did enough to take the third round. Because as you can see there, it's Felix coming forward, but he's just not landing any punch. Not that Oscar's landing anything of note either, but you can see those just the jabs, poking it out, picking his shots. When the opportunity rises, throwing the right hand, throwing the left hook, and then getting off to the side. And it just sort of reminded me, and I was just putting up the score for there. So 30-27 for Oscar, 10-9 for the round. Before we get into round 4, I was just going to say there, this fight reminded me a hell of a lot of the Marvin Hagler Sugar Ray Leonard fight, especially early. Hagler being the Trinidad in this situation, just coming forward, probably throwing more shots, but just no big power punches, nothing really landed. It's just that work rate of chugging forward. Leonard being De La Hoya in this fight, on the back foot, really using really good strategy, just that lateral movement, flurrying, tying up, getting off to the side, and then trying to flurry towards the end of the round to take the round. So it really reminded me when I was watching this fight of the Hagler-Leonard fight, and I've scored it accordingly. De La Hoya being the Leonard figure in this fight, 30-27, so 10 points to 9 in the third round. It'd be interesting to hear what you guys think and have to say about it as well. But round number 4, another impressive round, I thought, from De La Hoya, although I thought Felix Trinidad really started to pick it up effectively in this round. I thought Oscar's continued to dictate the fight and frustrate Trinidad, who just continues to chug forward, but without any effective punches coming in return. Although Trinidad follows De La Hoya around relentlessly, starts to have a little bit more success with his power punches as the round goes on. So you can see there he lands an okay right hand. De La Hoya continuing to box smart, snapping Trinidad's head back with counter jabs. But as the round went on, I thought Trinidad just started to close the distance a little bit. You can see there he's pumping that jab out, closing the range, closing the distance, having a little bit more success, although he did get his head snapped back with that jab there. I thought that, again, not a lot of action, but I just thought Felix just probably more through work rate, through pressure, just did enough to win the round. I mean, I've given Oscar 3 close rounds to start the fight. So with this being so line ball, I know he probably shouldn't do that of just giving someone a round because some others are close. But I think 3 rounds to 1 at around this point of the fight is probably fair. However you scored it, I think it's probably similar. So that round was 10-9 to Felix Trinidad, and I've got it 39-37, still in favour of Oscar De La Hoya. Let's go into round number 5. Now things are starting to heat up, of course, as both fighters are well warmed up. I just thought another impressive round from Oscar. I thought while he's boxing cautiously, just thought he continued to land the better punches or better counter punches. You can see there, just starting to come forward just a little bit more, engaging a little bit more. And Felix, I just thought was just that split second off for the entire round. Trinidad really hasn't done anything by this stage to alter his game plan. I've just got there that continued just to follow Oscar around the ring. You can see there Oscar landing good counter punches, 1, 2, 3s, and he's moving. And by the time Felix gets himself set, Oscar's already gone. That's why I really found it strange that he did not cut the ring off at all. You can see there he's just following Oscar around the ring, as Hagler did to Leonard, and just letting him pretty much have his way. And Oscar getting the confidence up, conserving that energy. And not that he's landing anything really of note, but it's just those little flashy combinations that gets the judges' attention in a really, really close round. An exchange or a flurry right at the end of the round, a la Leonard versus Hagler. You're going to probably hear me reference that fight a lot through this episode. Just enough to give Oscar the round 10-9 and just steal these early rounds. And more importantly, not fatigue himself, because as you know, if you've watched Oscar over the years or his career, you know that he does tend to gas a little bit later in fights. And I thought he was fighting a very, very smart fight at this stage. I've got him winning 4 rounds out of 5 and hasn't really got out of second gear, I don't think. So very, very good tactics by Oscar and his corner. And after 5 rounds, I've got him winning 49-46. So into round number 6 we go. Approaching the halfway point of the fight. De La Hoya starting to engage more. You can see there he's starting to come forward. And I just thought was getting the better of the exchange. You can see they're starting to tee off on Felix Trinidad, who really is struggling to sort of retaliate against Oscar. Oscar's punching and getting out of there again, like Leonard did against Hagler. Again, I'll keep referencing it because it just reminds me so much of that fight. Leading with some hooks there, Felix, but not really having any success. I thought Oscar started to pepper Trinidad with more jabs, making him miss in return. And Oscar, more importantly, starting to throw in combinations while Trinidad just failing to match and go with Oscar. Again, another close round, but I've given it to Oscar De La Hoya. I just thought his work rate again and his little flurries in key moments of the round gave him the round 10-9. So you can see there after 6 rounds, I've got it 5-1. I'm not sure how you guys had it, but I'm just struggling to see how Felix Trinidad is winning any of these rounds. Now, I'm just now at the halfway point. I'm going to go to some of the key moments of the judging on the scorecards and the fan vote on BoxRec. So after 6 rounds, the BoxRec fans had it exactly the same as me. They had it 5-1 for Oscar De La Hoya. Now, Glenn Hamada had it 1, 2, 3, had it 4-2 for Felix Trinidad at this point, which I just find absolutely preposterous. You know what I mean. Bob Logist, he had it 1, 2, 3, 3 rounds each for both fighters, and Jerry Roth had it 1, 2, 3 rounds each, so he had it even as well. So who knows at this point? So you've got Glenn Hamada being the key difference in all of this. As I said, myself and the fans on BoxRec had it 5-1 for Oscar. 2 of the 3 judges had it 3 rounds each, which I'm not going to argue with because there's so many close rounds in it. But Glenn Hamada, 4-2 for Felix Trinidad. I just don't get it. But anyway, round number 7. De La Hoya is starting just to show a little bit of fatigue, I thought, in this round. Trinidad has a little bit more success closing the gap and getting close enough to throw those power punches. So you can see there, getting there, ripping to the body. Harold Letterman there had it 58-56, so 4-2. So pretty similar. De La Hoya continuing to poke the jab, but I just thought Trinidad walking through it a little bit easier for the first time in the fight, just getting past that jab and getting inside and having a little bit of success. Oscar still having some success with his jab, but I just thought Felix Trinidad, you can see there, ripping and hooking inside. Not that anything meaningful's landing, but he's just getting close enough just to, I think, land just the better punches in close. Again, no clear-cut punches are landed, but I thought that Trinidad's pressure and work rate just did enough to win that round. Again, another close one, but I've got him winning 10-9, which makes it 5-2, 68-65 for for Oscar De La Hoya over Felix Trinidad. Let's go to round number 8. De La Hoya, I thought, after taking a round off, started to get his rhythm again. And I just thought he upped the tempo a little bit too, which was good, which he needed to do. Felix, who'll just keep coming forward the whole fight. And I thought it was a really good strategy for Oscar to pretty much take that round off, and he picks it up again in this round. Trinidad continuing to stalk De La Hoya, but I thought it was continually picked off by Oscar as he came in. No meaningful punches landed again, which seems to be the norm for each round. But I thought Oscar got the better of the few exchanges that they did have between the pair. And I just think at this point it's been a great exhibition of boxing by Oscar De La Hoya. Hasn't done anything to get himself in any danger. You can see there he's moving to the left, he moves to the right. Flurries, he picks his punches, and I just think Trinidad just hasn't done anything, I think, to make it even a close fight. You see he gets a warning there at the end of the round. But I've given that round again to Oscar De La Hoya. 6 rounds to 2, 78-74. I'll get to the scorecards another couple of rounds. We'll have a look at it. But yeah, so you can see there 6 rounds to 2, 78-74. I just see at this point that Felix has been the same old strategy round after round after round. He's just coming forward, refusing to cut the ring off, allowing Oscar to punch when he wants to punch, clinch when he wants to clinch, move when he wants to move. Exactly the same, as I said earlier, as Hagler and Leonard. Hagler did exactly the same thing, and it's really important to see just how you view through your eyes, and more importantly, the judge's eyes, how you're viewing the strategy of both fighters. Are you going for that continued pressure from Felix Trinidad without really landing anything of note from what I can see, like Hagler did, or can you see what Oscar's doing, being cautious, picking his moment, and then trying to dictate terms and flurrying towards the end to steal the round like Leonard did. So it'd be interesting to see how you guys have it out there. So after 8 rounds, 78-74. Round number 9. We're approaching those later championship rounds. I'll say it again, much the same as the previous rounds. For me, every round was very, very similar. Trinidad chasing a fleet-footed De La Hoya, and again refusing to cut the ring off. This allows De La Hoya to punch and move and counter effectively and pretty much do what he wants there. Get it, and you can see there when Oscar really decides to even plant his feet and let them go, Trinidad doesn't really go with him. And then when Oscar's gone, he just again plods after him and throws. I'm thinking just not very meaningful punches at all. I thought Trinidad struggled to keep up with De La Hoya when he flurried, and I just thought after 9 rounds, I've just given another round to Oscar. I just think he's just continues to be allowed to do what he wants. And to see there, he punches, he moves, he does whatever he wants, and Felix just cannot go with him. So I'm not seeing how this was a close fight after round 9, because you'll see my scorecard there. I've given another round to Oscar De La Hoya. I've got it 7 rounds to 2. So at this stage, not that it happens, of course, because we're obviously scoring it, but Trinidad needs a knockout. Now, quick look at the scorecards after 9 rounds. Now, so as I said, I've got an 88-83. The Box Rec fans had it even worse than that. They actually had it. They've actually, what have I got there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They've got it 8 rounds to 1 for Oscar De La Hoya. I'm not sure I can probably see it that way. However, you guys out there are the fans. You've scored this. Let's look at the other. Glenn Hamada. What did we say? He had it 4 rounds to 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Okay, so he's given Oscar. Actually, have I got that right there? No, I think I actually had that wrong. Glenn Hamada had it before 1, 2, 3, 4. He actually had it. Sorry, he had it 4 rounds to 2 for Oscar. So I'll take that back. Now he's actually got it 6 rounds to 3 for Oscar. Bob Logis has it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rounds to 4 for Trinidad. And Jerry Roth had it 1, 2, 3, 4. So 5 rounds to 4 for Trinidad as well. Very, very surprising if you ask me. But anyway, let's get into round number 10. I hope I've got that right. We'll go over it again right at the end anyway. So round number 10. All right. So probably I thought the best round of the fight for Trinidad. I thought he upped the pace really well and has success against Oscar. I just thought, again, who looks to have taken the round off. And look, I would not begrudge him at all, or his corner, for saying, Oscar, round number 10, just take the round. Well, not really. it's easy to say take the round off, but when I say round off, I mean just move, get your faculties back, get rid of fatigue a little bit, just give that round off. Not necessarily just to allow Trinidad to have it all his own way, but just save himself for those last 2 rounds. I thought he upped the pace. Trinidad had success. As I said, no big punches. Landed again, but just Trinidad. I thought he muscled De La Hoya, cut the ring off a little bit more, threw a lot more punches, and whatever exchanges there actually were, I thought he actually got the better of those exchanges. I just thought really Oscar gave him the round just by just moving and as I said before, just taking the round off. And so I thought Trinidad just got it by work rate alone. I've given that round 10 points to 9, and it's 97-93 after 10 rounds. As we enter the championship rounds of 11 and 12, let's get into it. Round number 11. I thought Trinidad paused on the pressure in this round, and Oscar's looking a little bit tired and retreats for the entire round. Now, whether he took round number 10 off, as I said, to regroup, I don't think it worked. I think he gave that round to FELIX, and in the end actually cost him the fight, which we'll go through in a second. But I just thought he, again, whether it's fatigue or he's let Trinidad get his confidence up, I just thought Oscar retreated and pretty much handed FELIX this round again. Trinidad, I thought, dominated the first 2 minutes. I thought De La Hoya had his moments in the final 60 seconds, but I just thought it looking tired, and I just thought Trinidad, who's to me fighting like he looks like he needs a knockout. You see Oscar having a little bit of success there, but I thought FELIX's overall work rate for the majority of round did enough to win him the round. Another really, really close round, I will say. But as I said, I thought FELIX fought like his life depended on it, or the decision depended on it, where Oscar was fighting like he had the fight in the bag and was just going through the motions. Now, as I said in the last round, I thought it was a good strategy, but whether it's let FELIX get his back up a little bit and his momentum up, his confidence up is another thing. But I just thought, again, FELIX Trinidad has won that round. Still not enough, in my opinion, to get him close to winning the fight. But you can see there, 106-103, 7 rounds to 4, still in Oscar De La Hoya's favour. So let's go into the final round of the fight. Trinidad, I thought, tried desperately to close out the fight, and we can see there De La Hoya getting on his bike just like he had the fight won. You can see there Harold Letterman had at 105, 104. I didn't have it obviously that close, but I have it 106, 103. As I said, De La Hoya on his bike, circling the ring, continuing to look to counter. Looking tired, I did thought too. But I thought he fought this last round like he had the fight in the bag, which I know he got a lot of criticism after this fight that he pretty much handed the last 3 rounds to FELIX. Again, I don't think it was enough to actually give FELIX the fight. However, I do agree that if it was close, that Oscar didn't do himself any favours in these last 3 rounds. And really, all FELIX is doing is hunting him down, putting the pressure on. It's not like he's doing anything majorly well to win the round. Oscar's just handing him these last rounds. So I didn't think he landed anything really of note. And Oscar tried to flurry towards the end of the round, but I just thought another fittingly close round. But I've given the last round to FELIX Trinidad. Not enough to give him the decision. You can see there, I've given him the round 10 points to 9, but I've got it 115, 113 for the final count for me. Again, I'm interested to see how you guys had it. Let's go to the official scores. So as I said, 115, 113 for me, as you saw there. Glenn Hamada had it 114, 114. He had it a draw. Bob Lodges had it 115, 114 for FELIX Trinidad. Jerry Roth had it 115, 113 for Trinidad. So 7 rounds to 5. Lodges had it 6 rounds to 5 and 1 even. On BoxRec, 116, 112 for Oscar De La Hoya. So they had it 8 rounds to 4 for Oscar, which is surprising. So look at those last few rounds. One thing that really gets me in that last round, you can see there, well-deserved win by FELIX Trinidad. Now, in the last 3 rounds, now all 3 judges gave the rounds 10 and 11 to FELIX Trinidad. However, round number 12, all judges bar Ben Lodges scored the fight for Trinidad. He gave it to Oscar De La Hoya. Now that in turn gave Felix Trinidad the fight, 115-114. If you had given it to Oscar De La Hoya, to Felix Trinidad, like everyone did, myself, the fans, and the other two judges, the fight would have been a majority draw. So how's that for controversy? So some more input there. So looking at it, so as I said, yeah. So the last 3 rounds. That was probably the main thing in the whole fight, is that Ben Lodges scored that last round to Oscar De La Hoya, which cost him. Scored that to Oscar. No, actually, what's happened there? Yeah, sorry. So that would have had the fight, or would it? No, maybe I've got that wrong. It would have been no, it wouldn't have been enough to win in the fight. I take that back. However, yeah, so you can get the sort of gist of what I'm saying there. But that last round, giving it to Oscar De La Hoya wasn't enough. So I take that back. I apologise. But it would have made it even more clear cut for Felix Trinidad, which doesn't make sense to me. So it's a little bit hard. Apologies reading off the judges there when they're all over the place. But so again, the scores 114-114 from Glenn Amata. I'm not going to argue with that. That's not like 6 rounds, all so many close rounds. 115-114 from Bob Logis. And Jerry Roth 115-113. So how did you have it? Really interested to see what you guys think. Put your comments down below. But another really, really controversial decision. Look, I won't say it was an easy fight to score, because it really wasn't. It was so hard, so many close rounds. But I just can't see how Felix Trinidad did enough to win the fight. I know those last 3 rounds have been discussed and analysed and everything else, but as I said, I just can't see how Felix Trinidad did enough to win the fight. Maybe a draw, if you want to see it that way. But the official judges had it their way for good reason. So there it is. Again, put your comments down below in the section. Let us know your thoughts. If you've got a fight you would like me to score, a controversial fight from the past, let me know. But until next time, look forward to seeing you then. Thank you.